It's Friday. Thank you for joining me for another one of my Bitcoin analysis videos. Hope you're all well and you've had a cracking week. Friday means that CME will be closing later on today, and we'll get onto that in a moment. Anyway, let's dive straight in with the price action on the lower timeframes and work my way up to the higher timeframes. If you like this type of content, that's basically Bitcoin trade / investment analysis, then yeah, if you like and subscribe, then I will be put directly into your box, which sounds uncomfortable, but I think you know what I mean. Anyway, excuse me. Oh, bit of a rude burp there to get us started, and indeed, let's now get on with the 4-hour time frame. And you can see lovely impulsive move to the upside that basically started on this candle, which broke the stalemate, the low volatility environment, and gave us an upside bias for a volatile move. And that all happened really on Monday the 21st. So at the beginning of this week, which has led to this beautiful upside move on the on most of the timeframes. But this is a 4-hour time frame I'm looking at. Volatility's then been cooling off really since around Wednesday, so it all happened in about 2 days. And it looks like there's another leg being made to provide Bitcoin with a bit more upside price action. And this will potentially set in some regular bearish divergence. So what I mean by that is you can see basically I've got a momentum set up to my screen here with a Bollinger Band, which is a volatility momentum indicator, RSI, which is a momentum indicator, and the MACD, which is a momentum indicator. So it probably says a lot about me personally and how I look at price action, very much from a momentum and trend point of view. And you can see that this high here on the 4-hour corresponded to this high on the RSI, and it hasn't made another high yet because you'd need Bitcoin to probably close below the midpoint of the Bollinger Band to confirm this price action is a high. And so that would require Bitcoin to close 4 hours back below about 93.5. That's just my opinion on what would make this a high. And if indeed that did happen, then this would be a higher high compared to this high with a lower high on the RSI. All of that rhymes. But what that is regular bearish divergence. And therefore, I would expect to move back down, for a reasonable pullback, probably somewhere into the low 90s. And you can see that even if it happened over the next sort of few time periods on the 4-hour, 91.5 is the bottom of the Bollinger Band, so that wouldn't really change the trend. That would just be sideways price action on the 4-hour time frame within a range somewhere between 91.5 and 95.5. And that may well turn out to be what happens, but because my ability to predict the future is 0, I wouldn't rely on that being the actual price action. That's just one of a few potentials. So yeah, shaping up some regular bearish divergence on the 4-hour time frame. Having said that, the only way that's going to be confirmed is with more of a pullback on the 4-hour. And you never know, Bitcoin could burn up from here. I think that's less likely, but it could happen. So I'm just spinning some ideas for you. Now, if that does happen and there's regular bearish divergence on this 4-hour, and that could play into the hands of this daily time frame. And you can see here there's definitely volatility expansion to the upside on the daily time frame, but it's losing a bit of momentum. And potentially there would be a bit of a pullback here. Now, the support resistance, so what I should add to that is that the impulsive move took the RSI into the ball control zone on the daily, which is obviously good if you're looking for more upside. And indeed, just prior to that, I think it was the day prior, the MACD crossed the 0 line, which I use as my flip from downside pressure to upside pressure. So looking good for more daily upside after maybe a bit of a pullback. And I would look to find support for Bitcoin somewhere, in the high 80s, low 90s, high 80s, low 90s. It's clearly a support resistance area. And I would expect, having closed above it, if it does indeed pull back to that area, that would be perceived by the market as support, and so bounced off it. And I imagine if that happens, I don't know, either over the weekend or into the early part of next week, that's where the midpoint of the Bollinger Band will likely be on the daily time frame as well. And that would all make good sense for a pullback followed by more upside price action on the daily time frame. Will that occur? Again, that's in the future, so I don't know. But that would fit in well nicely between the 4-hour and the daily, should that occur. let's scoot on to the weekly. And for this, I will check in. So I mentioned this earlier on in the week. Can't remember which day it was now, but I was looking for Bitcoin to close above the midpoint of the Bollinger Band. And just on Bitstamp here, which is the exchange I'm on, it's got a good chance of doing because, as you can see, it's above it at the moment, with the price being at sort of 94.7 on Bitstamp and the Bollinger Band midpoint being at 92.2. So, a good bit of a buffer there for the weekly candle to close above the midpoint of the Bollinger Band. And as I said in my earlier video, that doesn't really do much with regards to signaling for more upside. What it does, though, is it signals for a halt to the downside, because when you get a weekly candle or any candle closing above the midpoint of the Bollinger Band, that suggests that the price action is continuing with some consolidation if it's in a low volatility environment, that's exactly what you can see here on the weekly time frame, much like here and much like here. And I've been through that setup many times before. So a closure back above the midpoint on the weekly time frame here, to me, gives Bitcoin a chance, doesn't mean it's going to happen, to make a new all-time high. I get suspicious that'll be the last move for this bull run, but I don't know that. Again, it's all future guessing, and it should be seen as nothing more than that. Now, because it's a Friday, let's check out CME, and CME's got a good chance to close above its Bollinger Band midpoint too, as long as it doesn't bleed out to $2,000 in the next how many hours? 3 hours. So I think there's a good chance that won't happen, and that indeed Bitcoin closes above the midpoint for this weekly time frame, which is a fairly strong signal, I'd say, for at least a stab back up somewhere towards the current all-time high, if not then above it, over the next coming weeks. I wouldn't be surprised if it does close above the midpoint, if then there's a pullback, as I said, on the lower time frames, below the Bollinger Band during the week, and then hopefully a closure towards about 100K by the end of next week or the following week. But that, I think, a weekly closure back towards 100K by the end of next week, having tested around sort of low 90s, high 80s during that week period, would all look like classic price action to me. All right, I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, please like and subscribe, give me a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and join me next time on Simon's Trading Channel for some more of this delicious price action analysis. Take care. Enjoy your weekend. I'll see you soon. Goodbye.